Hello friends, I am Dr. Urmi Satyan and I am going to talk about the latest historical novel, The Last Queen, written by Chitrabanerjeedivakaruni. This book gives us an account of a century and a half old history of the forgotten glory of Hindustan. Chitra presents the past with an imaginative and novel perspective. It is very interesting to see a candid panorama of significant political events taking shape in the northwestern Indian subcontinent during the first half of the 18th century. The main focus in the book is on the forgotten queen, Maharani Jindan, who was the only link between the Punjabi Sikh community and the last prince of Punjab, Maharaja Dalip Singh, her own son. On reading the novel, we find that Rani Jindan's life is structurally divided into four parts: her bravery during her adolescent time in Gujranwala, her marriage to Raja Ranjit Singh, the king of Lahore, her asylum in Nepal, and her death in England. A daughter of a dog trainer as she is, her wretched life is far distant from any royalty or regency. But once accorded with the royal identification, her political acumen and intellectual inquisitiveness impress her king husband and the people of Punjab. Her potential worth earns her the honorable title of the Mai of Punjab. Her quickness to learn, adopt, and execute is commended by the king, Rani Gooden, one of her co-wives, and a few loyal servants. Her 2.5 years married life rewards her with honor as a queen, a Qila as the ancestral asset, and a legal claimant to the throne of Punjab. Her loyalty is exemplified through her insuppressible tenacity to protect all three of them by fighting against all adversities and resisting strongly against the British goal to own all of Hindustan. Chitra's historical research, as fictionalized and documented in the present book, depicts the glory and the following collapse of Lahore, an Indian state before the division of India in 1947, due to the treachery of the inmates and the trickery of the British. The series of defeats and betrayals make Rani Jindan helpless. Her heart aches to see a major part of Punjab under the British control. She comes to know that Lawrence is the new governor of Punjab and her son Dalip is under the care of the British government. The British keep her on a petty pension amount and strictly confine her to Zanana. Her confinement shifts from Sheikhupura Qila to Chunar Fort. Her financial allowance is also reduced to an unbelievable meager amount. Jindan is separated from her son and confined. Within a small span, the new Governor General Dalhousie declares the Darbar's treaty with the British as void, and so, after the victory at Gujarat, Punjab is annexed from the sovereign India. It is within the 10 years of the brave King Ranjit Singh's death, Punjab is almost looted. Nevertheless, Jindan fights against all and escapes from the incarceration of the British. She is gutsy to write a taunting note to her warden saying, "You put me in the cage and locked me up. You surrounded me with sentries. You thought you could keep Rani Jindan imprisoned. But look, I got out by magic from under your nose." Chitra's lucid depiction of Jindan's fighting spirit brilliantly chronicles how Punjab gains and loses the fame and splendor earned by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Rani Jindan tells us how the divide and rule policy of the Brigadier General Henry Lawrence and the Governor General Dalhousie get success in paralyzing the sovereignty of the state of Punjab. The unfortunate split between the Hindus and the Sikhs, which Ranjit Singh worked so hard to prevent, puts a blow on India's national unity. Nevertheless, during her tenure as the Queen of Punjab, Jindan determinedly dedicates her life to conserve the sovereignty of Punjab. She strongly resists from throwing guards against the British. But in the later and the final stage of her life, she had to compromise with the situation. Under the British condition, she had to go to England to reunite with her son. There she finds that her son is culturally colonized. He has forgotten the mother tongue Punjabi as well. This is for the first time in her life that Rani Jindan feels extremely helpless and subdued. Nevertheless, she advises her son from her deathbed to reunite to his original nation, religion and family. She says, "Reach deep within, my son. You may be surprised by what you find there. You will not be alone in your quest for justice. Punjab is filled with men who long for your return. Contact your cousin, Thakur Singh. He will guide you. He will help you become a Sikh again, if you are willing. Who knows, perhaps you will fulfill the prophecy to be the king of Hindustan I told you about." These words speak volumes about her pride for Punjab, faith in Sikhism and trust born with consanguine family. None of these emotions are respected by the British, who restrict Dalip to come to India and flow her ashes into the holy river Ganga. It is after a year of her death that the British finally permit Dilip to make a secured flying visit to India to flow his mother's ashes into the holy river Godavari in Maharashtra. Thus, Chitra tells us the story of Jindan, and Jindan tells us the history of Punjab. Chitra's research exuberance and creative brilliance is potent to articulate the truthful and authentic account of the life of Rani Jindan. In the same line of her previous historical novels, The Palace of Illusions and The Forest of Enchantments, Chitra revives one more forgotten page of history and presents before her readers the spirit of a Hindustani woman who is brave, rebellious, revengeful, sympathetic, crafty, and also motherly. So friends, please read the book and know more about the life of Raja Ranjit Singh and his last queen Rani Jindan. Thank you.